What is up? How you guys feeling? Has everyone been watching E3?
Yeah, I sure have.
Yeah, we have. Got episode 19. Today we're talking about E3. You guys can see our current topic. We're going to be talking E3, Microsoft versus Sony. Got my fellow buddy, co-host Colin with me, as always.
As always.
So we're going to just hop right into it because it's probably going to be, I'm going to try to stop it right at about an hour and a half for this show. But we got the new consoles. Colin, how you feeling about them? What do you think about? First off, we already knew what Microsoft looked like beforehand.
Yeah, for the most part.
The VCR. What do you think about
the design?
The design of Sony's.
I personally like it. Like, it got a lot of flack because it's basically the same as the Xbox One.
Right.
But when you think about it, they slanted it so that the back end is the end with like the overhang, and that's also where you plug in the cords. So there's not really any wasted space there because it's where your cords be coming out anyways.
Right.
So from a strict like functionality standpoint, it seems pretty cool.
Okay.
I mean, it's a black box, so I'm not really sure what more there is to say. Like, yep, it's a box and it's black.
Yeah.
It's like the Xbox One.
Pretty much. All right. So the way we're going to structure this, we're going to basically do it in the order of which the presentations were shown. So it's Microsoft first. Then we're going to go to Sony, and then we're going to go to the games that we're excited about. We'll try to hit up community chat or community topic right in between that. But like I said, this is going to be jam-packed with stuff. So first off, do you want to just start off? Who do you think won, or you want to wait?
Let's hold it off.
Okay, all right.
Because I feel like a lot of context has to be added. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. So Microsoft gets on stage. The first thing they start talking about is the Xbox 360. We get a new console redesign.
That was surprising.
I was really surprised at that as well.
They've already done it. The Elite's pretty good.
4 times?
Like,
what is it? 4 times?
Yeah,
4 times?
I mean, the Slim is good, not the Elite. Yeah.
So they went to the white, and then they had an upgraded version of that. Then they had the Elites. Then they had the Slim, and now they have, what are they calling this one?
I didn't even catch what they're calling it, to be honest.
Yeah, I thought the Slim looked way better than the design of this current one, but apparently
I mean, the current one's basically like exactly like the Xbox One.
Xbox One, exactly. So
which is going to lead to more confusion.
Mommy, what are we getting for Christmas?
Holiday season when someone's like, I want the new Xbox.
Oh, you mean the new Xbox 360?
And then they're like, well, I see this model here. It's $200 for 4 gigabytes. I see this model has a Kinect. It's $300. And this model, it also has a Kinect, but it's $500. I guess all this. You think he wants to play with the Kinect? You know, like, I think the distinction there is going to be difficult for parents, I guess.
Right. So,
especially when it's called the Xbox One.
here's the thing that I think is really interesting about this is that if they did this, maybe they'll do it, you know, when the console actually drops. I thought they would have dropped the price even more. I thought maybe they would have gone away with the 4 gig and just made the one that's comes with Kinect $199 instead of offering these 2 different prices. Not that I'm
$250. If they met it halfway there, it would have.
I mean, I'm really surprised that they're still having these prices, knowing that, you know, in November they're gonna have a $500 console. So it's like, why don't you make it a little bit better for consumers and say, okay, guys, we know we're overpriced right now. And I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general. Or maybe we have a high price right now for our new Xbox One. How about we discount these even further so these are appealing to you guys? So that's what I think I'm most surprised about with this announcement. The other cool thing, this is really cool, although maybe a kind of late, is that they're offering 2 free games per month for Xbox Live Gold members. I love how they explicitly stated that. Did you like how they explicitly stated Xbox Live Gold?
They're trying to match the PlayStation Plus.
Right.
But, I mean, the games, it's like Assassin's Creed 2 and then Halo 3. And then I think Fable 3
Fable
was free
3?
this month.
Yeah.
It's a free download.
Yeah.
Fable 3 reviewed horrendously. Halo 3 came out, what, like 8 years ago?
2007.
Yeah, 6 years ago.
So, I mean, hey, it's
They
better
just
than
pulled
nothing.
the plug on Halo 2, so I doubt Halo 3 has that much time left for it. There's
Hey.
no cross compatibility.
I'm surprised.
I mean, free games are free games.
Yeah.
But PlayStation Plus does it a lot better because they just keep adding to the free game pile.
How much are these games normally right now? Like, if I were to go to buy Halo 3 brand new, how much is it? Like $10?
They're probably like $8 between them.
So I don't
doubt
know.
you'd be paying much.
Are you looking it up right now?
Yeah, I'm pulling up eBay.
You're gonna look on eBay.
Yeah,
5.
Assassin's Creed 2 on Xbox, $7. They're all right around $5 to $7.
So okay, I mean it's not a super deal for what they're doing, but it's better than nothing.
Free game's a free game.
I mean,
Halo
considering
3 is $2.
Considering the uproar that consumers have had over used games, I guess any buck you can save is better than nothing. But whatever.
Pick Halo 3 for a couple bucks on eBay. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, a couple other things that they showed off are some of the games that they had there. Max and the Curse Brotherhood, something like that. Did you see that
It looked
game?
pretty cool. Like, it's a kid's game, but
It's a kid's game. It did look pretty sweet. Saints Row 4 wasn't shown there, but I'm going to mention it anyway because I saw some coverage on that. The storyline on Saints Row 4 is
that right after Max and the
Max.
Curse Brotherhood.
Well, here's the
It's a
thing.
family-friendly game, and then it shows the guy waving around a purple dildo, slapping the police. Like,
Yo,
that would have been hilarious, and I would have just immediately just given the entire conference to Microsoft.
the funniest thing about Saints Row 4 is you take the role of the character that you had in Saints Row 3. I don't know if you played Saints Row 3. I played through it a little bit for Subscriber Sunday.
Like
And
2 minutes, 5 minutes.
okay, so you're the president of the U.S. I don't know how that comes to be, but then aliens invade, and you get superpowers. So they showed this. They showed some gameplay, and I swear to God, I was watching Prototype. Like it looked exactly like Prototype and Crackdown, and I was like, "What?" And I think it was the creative director that was talking at the time. It was during the Twitch portion of this. He was sitting there like, "Yeah, this is some really great, groundbreaking, innovative stuff that we're doing here," and I'm like, "What?" I saw like 3-4 other games that were doing the exact same thing that you guys are doing now. So
I feel like their sole goal was just kind of turn everything up to 11 and let you basically just stomp all over the city.
yeah, the coolest thing that I absolutely saw from that was they have a dubstep gun.
Yeah.
Did
like
you see it?
5 months too late.
Did you see the dubstep gun though?
Yeah, I've seen it.
So when they shoot people, for anyone that hasn't seen it, I highly advise that you watch some of these broadcasts for Twitch. But you shoot the dubstep gun, and like they get hit, and then they're like gyrating in the air. It's hilarious. So that's probably the best thing I
It's one
saw.
of those things that, like, as a parody, it would have been really funny like 5 months ago.
Yeah.
Which is probably when they actually got it in the game. And then, like, just by the time it got to release, it's going to be out-of-date reference to pop culture.
So that was pretty cool. There was also, let me see, I have Ascend on here, which I watched. It's a free-to-play game, basically like Dark Souls. Very similar. I don't think it's as difficult, but you can, let me see, you can play as 3 different factions, so to speak. Basically, you choose a god that you want to align yourself to, and you get started with that. So I saw that for Xbox 360, Charlie Murder, and that's pretty much it. I don't know all the other Xbox 360 games that'll be there. Obviously, we're going to talk about some more that'll be on One and all the other PS4 and everything. But that's pretty much all I saw for Xbox 360 that really interested me in terms of what they were talking about. But after that, they got into Xbox One. What do you think about the price? I'm just going to start with that first. What is $499? What do you think about that?
Last week, I believe it was. I probably said it before then too, but I think that $399 is the sweet spot. So obviously, I think that's too high for the initial launch for mass adoption. I'll probably end up getting it just based off the fact that I have money. You know, like I have a job.
Right. You're not scrounging.
I can get both, yeah. so it's not like it's a big decision thing. But $500, I think, is the point where it's tough for parents to swallow as a Christmas gift or whatever.
Right. So, I think
for me, like, as I was growing up as a kid, $500 for a console probably wouldn't have happened.
No, I don't think my mom would have. No, she wouldn't have. I'm pretty sure she wouldn't have.
Yeah.
So
that would have been like the only thing.
I think I was pretty much spot on with the price. I think I actually said I expected them to launch at $499. So I feel like for anyone that watched that show, it was either last week or the week before. I'm pretty sure I called $499 for the price of the Xbox One based off of all the features that they had. And speculation has it is that, and someone just mentioned in the chat, I think the Kinect camera is bumping this price up $100.
Yeah, I mean, that's essentially what you're paying for is the Kinect. Like,
so it's like, are you seriously
You
not?
can look at that directly with the Xbox 360. They're selling the 4 GB for $200, and the one with the Kinect for $300.
For $300, right?
So like, and that's the old Kinect without some of the new design stuff. So it seems like, yeah, that price could have very well been $399. At which point I have to wonder, like, there's not really that much Kinect integration being shown in these games.
No, we got.
It's all like in the UI, and it's like. It's a substitution for a UI that's perfectly fine with the controller, really.
Yeah, yeah. So you guys might be able to hear Kylan. She just woke up. Just letting everyone know. Christy is here for those of you guys that are wondering. She's not alone. So.
Gotta say it every time now.
I gotta say it every time. The other really cool feature, again, this is something that I think that you and I were hitting on pretty hard. That they didn't talk about at the press conference was Twitch TV integration. Like, this is one that was like, this is make or break for me between what I was going to choose. If they didn't announce that they were partnering with Twitch, which I think all of us pretty much expected, then I just flat out, I was not going to get, it wouldn't even have been a choice for me. It would not have been an option. I would have gone PS4 all the way. So that is absolutely huge.
The one thing that surprised me is that was pretty much all they showed from the software end of things. Like, I was hoping for some new stuff with like friends lists or the Xbox Live interface or
they didn't
like
show any of that.
And that was really it. They're like, "Yep, we have Twitch," and then they moved on back to games.
Yep, that is exactly how I felt, and that's one of the. Well, we're gonna get to in a second. But one of the things I had on my mind to dock them for was like, that's all we got from them. Hopefully,
which is really weird because when they showed off the 360, that was huge, showing the interface and the dashboard and
the Blade,
the friends list, the ability to like the social features.
Show the Blade interface.
Yeah.
Oh god, it's so old.
Didn't touch on it at all. But the big thing with Twitch is that both consoles actually are using HDMI out as the only output, which has protection as HDCP.
HDCP. Sony was big on it. For anyone that had or tried to stream using Sony, it was causing a lot of headaches. So
yeah, you had to have like a special adapter pretty much in order to record with capture cards.
And I believe the reason that they did this was because of Blu-ray. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was the idea behind.
Yeah, it's a copy protection for Blu-ray.
Okay, so
and it's pretty much required. So there wasn't really a way around it. So the HD Fury actually was the capture card which came out, which worked around that, and everyone has kind of been using that on PlayStation, I believe.
So sounds like we may need to get the HD Fury.
Well, that's the thing, is both consoles actually have streaming and DVR. It's a matter of what the restrictions on that DVR are.
Well, if I can't...
One thing that hasn't been talked about is like what the... Obviously the big one is how long you can record. Right. Or if you just kind of have to stream everything and grab everything off VODs. Which
would suck because our big thing is being able to edit video. Like, I need to be able to export that file so that I can edit it in, Adobe or do whatever I need to do in order to make the video a little bit better. So,
and I'd imagine it's running compression while you're playing. You could have issues where it's too compressed or not compressed in a good format. There's a lot of different issues that a capture card would be able to do better. Potentially, obviously, we haven't gotten any details whatsoever. I'm kind of curious if we'll even get details till the console comes out.
Well, I heard that
it's a small portion of the community that kind of uses that,
Yeah, I've heard that they're doing something at Gamescom as well. So we may hear some more news on some of that stuff there, but kind of disappointing they didn't talk about it.
Yep. So I really want details before I get too excited on those on that front.
On that front, yeah, I agree. So exclusive launch titles. That's our next little title for the Xbox One. We have Forza.
Did you merge these? You merged these.
I did.
These aren't all launch titles.
Yes, they are.
Nope. Titanfall isn't a launch title.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. It should be exclusive Xbox. Yeah, I think I have exclusives on that.
I'll read from
so
the Reddit list. We can do launch titles first and then do exclusives after that.
Okay, yeah, go ahead and do that.
So at launch on the Xbox One only, you'll have Rise, Son of Rome, Dead Rising 3, Forza 5, Killer Instinct, Kinect Sports Rivals, Minecraft Xbox One Edition, and that's it for launch titles.
With even better graphics. So that's all that's been confirmed so far. So
for launch, obviously there's also non-exclusives. Battlefield would be a good example of one that's probably going to be a launch title.
I could see that, yeah.
But it's also going to be on the other consoles. So,
Call of Duty Ghosts. That'll be the other one.
Yep. So those are the launch titles. They showed off Rise, Dead Rising 3, Forza 5, and a little bit of Killer Instinct.
Yes. So, I mean, from this list, yeah, I think it's in there. It's at the top. Oh, you mean for the Twitch chat? Okay, yeah. So for, I guess the must-have here, the only one that really pops out to me that is a must-have launch title is Killer Instinct. That's it. You look at that list and you're like, man.
Like, to me, that's a fighting game from a studio that hasn't done fighting games in a long time. And it's based, I think they've actually said it's free to play as one of the models, which is one character unlocked.
So
and then you have to purchase the other ones, or you can purchase a pack that has all of them.
So, I mean, I think that's cool.
Retail title is what I'm saying.
It's cool, yeah. It's a digital download title. The gameplay for it, they had Mad Catz. I actually tuned in for a little bit of it to see some gameplay. It looks solid. It looks like a mix of Street Fighter / Mortal Kombat-ish, maybe. It's really hard for me to put my finger on it exactly, but Mad Catz was streaming it. They had some pro guys that were doing some stuff there, and I mean, it looked fast, dude. It looked really fast. I was impressed with how fluid it seemed, but I think that the thing I'm most concerned about
games as like a
system seller,
good benchmark of what the system can do.
Right. So I feel like that by itself is like cool, but like you're saying, it's not something that's going to really show off what the Xbox One can do. And I really think that they needed something else. I think another game I was impressed with, and you seem kind of iffy about it, is Rise, Son of Rome. And maybe it's because I love the movie Gladiator. I like Troy. I like a lot of those Greek / Roman themed movies. And so when the trailer, gameplay trailer came on, I tweeted out like Maximus, Maximus. And so, I was really hyped about it. The one thing they had way too much of that, the slow-mo button sequence, quick time events. Like, oh god, there were so many of them.
Every single kill he used one.
Every single
kill. It's like, push square, push X.
Slow-mo, slice of the neck.
Oh, that was horrendous. I got old just watching it. My big thing is I'm a huge fan of Rome, like as a setting, both for video games and books and movies. I've actually had like a bunch of books from Rome when I was a kid, so something which I always have an interest in is kind of the Rome and Greek history.
Right.
And watching it from a historical perspective, it made no sense whatsoever.
What?
It was like Hollywood Saving Private Ryan in Rome.
What if it's just a demo level?
You didn't see the connections between that and like the Call of Duty 2 D-Day level?
I saw it.
They were all almost identical. And they look up and there's a giant fireball cannon catapult flying at them? Come on. And then you got them fighting with these dinky ass shields, and then they're off just breaking off formation and just starting to hack each other up.
Oh, I thought it was cool.
Like, I imagine that Roman warfare probably really boring because they stayed mostly in formation the whole time. But come on, it doesn't fit anything historically. And from a If you're not gonna fit the historical perspective, at least fit the gameplay perspective, and just like quick time events everywhere. Yeah, they also threw 3 of the pylons, and they only carried 2. Just saying. Just saying.
Colin, why you gotta?
Why the hell would they carry 3 spears on their back all the time?
That's messed up, Colin. So that was my other one that I was kind of impressed with. Dead Rising
from a boat in full metal armor. I don't even.
Dead Rising 3 was also on there. I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, it seemed like they showed a lot of cool stuff there, a lot of zombies on screen. I feel like it was just like the original Dead Rising when they showed all those zombies on screen and all that stuff at E3 when that game first came out. So with Dead Rising 3, they kind of did it bigger, better a little bit. The only thing that I really remember besides all the zombies is that sledgehammer chainsaw when he threw it at the dude and cut him in half. So that was really cool.
It seems a little almost too serious for a Dead Rising game. Like
the art style seemed a little, it did seem a little bit more like we're gonna go DayZ style on you.
Yeah,
versus...
I mean, like Dead Rising 1 was fun because you were killing like clowns and shit. Clowns and shit in the mall, and then just picking up different stuff from the different shops in the mall. This is kind of like grittier, more survival horror type stuff, you know?
Right.
And one of the things that kind of turned me off, he's standing on top of the car with like 100 zombies around him, and they're not even trying to get up.
Oh, he shot the flare? Yeah.
Yeah, when he just stood up there and just like, there's lots of zombies around me. And then he just goes running past them all. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. It'll probably be fun, but it seemed a little ridiculous.
So other than that, I mean, I don't remember seeing Kinect Sports Rivals. Did they demo that? Why don't I remember that?
It was a video that came out before the thing. I didn't see it either, though.
Okay. I'm not at all even remotely interested in anything related to that.
So I think that's covers all the launch stuff. Minecraft, I guess we can talk about. Did it come across as them taking credit for Minecraft? 'Cause that was what I got.
No, I didn't get that vibe. I just got the only thing that cracked me up is that like they're like, no, on the Xbox One, and it's like, what are you showing off? Like Minecraft is, you're not gonna. What are you showing off? Like, I don't get it. Maybe there's no limitations. Like the 360 version has a lot of limitations.
That's the thing. Like I imagine they're going to make them buy it again.
Right. So it's like if you already own it, it's like you got to buy it again. So I don't know.
For most of those people, it's probably the 3rd time they bought the game. They probably also bought it on PC at some point, and then decided they wanted to play with their friends on Xbox.
Yeah, I can't. That was just unexciting to me. I mean, I like Minecraft. I like the concept of Minecraft, but nah.
How sad would it be to see someone sitting there playing with the new $500 console and playing Minecraft, though? Like, how depressing would that be to see a kid sitting there doing that? Oh, that'd make me so frustrated.
I guess the frustrating thing about that would be like he didn't get any other game except that.
Right.
So like if that's
he could do the exact same thing on his computer from 10 years ago.
Right. Well, at least he could say like he could get Minecraft, but he could also play Killer Instinct. It's free to play. So he has 2 at least.
Yeah.
Let me see what else we got here.
We can move from the launch titles to exclusive to Xbox One, which is.
Oh wait, we didn't mention Forza. Forza is back, racing simulator, and it does the same thing as all the other ones. That's about it.
No, but now it'll play on its own while you're gone.
It basically does everything.
Avatar.
Listen, I remember that I used to simulate races on GTA or GTA Gran Turismo. Like you just simulate a race if you didn't feel like doing it, and then what's the difference between that and Forza?
Well, no, you see, the new Avatar learns how you race based on your previous races, and then drives exactly like you, so your friends can race against you at any time of day, even if you're not even on.
There's no difference. I just
want to drive Avatar to go to work for me.
I just don't get it.
Just sit there and do my work better than I can.
When I was younger, I used to love. I think I got burned out. I played Gran Turismo so much. I put hours and hours into Gran Turismo, and I played all the way up to 3, and then after that, I was just like, why am I still playing this? And Forza, I mean, I tried it, but I can't sit down and play it longer than like 3 races, and I'm like, same thing. And I put down my controller, same thing. And that's how I feel with all of them. It's like, what are you changing for me in the driving experience? There's nothing different. Like, I could play Gran Turismo, and I still get the same exact feeling that I get playing Forza 5 or whatever generation of system. I might as well just be driving in real life. Like, I just don't get it.
Like that in real life.
I got a Subaru. I mean, I could do some racing if I wanted to. Some off-roading.
Not quite comparable to what they showed.
I don't know.
Comparable.
I mean, just me. Forza and any racing game have never been system sellers for me personally, unless I was playing Gran Turismo about 10 years ago. Then I might be more interested in it, but just for me personally, my state of gaming, it's just uninteresting, unappealing.
The big thing is it's probably the best graphical showcase of the bunch. Maybe Rise,
dude.
But Forza probably is the best graphical showcase. In the sense of, if you have friends over and it's like, hey, I want to show you the new console, then probably putting in Forza is going to be the best. It's going to blow people's minds. Okay.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, so
Quantum Break.
Did we see any gameplay?
They showed a video where the lady was
stuck,
getting
right,
blown away, and then lost time, and the dude walks in. Pulled her out. Like, take a look around real quick. No, he looked at her phone.
I don't even know.
It's a TV show and it's a game.
No.
All right. So you're not interested at all.
Move on. Next game.
Sunset Overdrive.
Okay, that looked cool.
Really fucking cool.
Looked really, really cool. And you nailed it right on the head. I said it looked like a mix of Mirror's Edge and another game. I can't remember. I have to look back at my tweet. But then the game I was really thinking of, because I sat there and thought, that's Mirror's Edge, but I was like, no, it's not Mirror's Edge. It was another game where you platform around. And then I saw you tweet it. It was Jet Set Radio.
Jet Set Radio with guns.
Yes.
Zombies. Zombie monsters.
So that is exactly the game that it reminded me of. Jet Set Radio with guns.
It's the music. It was the music they played during the thing. And
probably.
And the generals, like, the characters in general had lots of flair and style. But it seems like it's probably just going to be co-op versus AI, as far as what they showed in the trailer.
Right. That's a possibility.
Which definitely stunts my interest. It seems like it'd be really fun to have a multiplayer game where you're zipping around like that. I
was trying to think of what type of gun or ammo he used. Was that like a Sunkist? He armed the gun with Sunkist.
Yeah, it just looked like a shotgun, but then he was firing orange. Just drowning them in Sunkist.
So yeah, I have no idea.
The other guy had a disc that shoots records, or a gun that shoots records.
I don't know. I don't know what he was shooting, but the game looked cool though.
It seems like it'd be cool.
Did they hit? I think based off of the CG that they showed, I'm hoping it's in there. But they look like they had wall jumping. Did you see that?
Yeah, I think there was.
So
there was definitely zip lining.
So I think that was what made me think of Mirror's Edge. But if that's in there, and maybe they have multiplayer, it could be kind of fun. Dedicated servers.
It's one of those games where I really want to see some gameplay. It definitely piqued my interest though with the trailer.
Yeah. All right. So next up we got
Crimson Dragon.
Crimson Dragon.
Which that was the game that didn't have any audio.
Oh yeah. Oh god. My tweet was, "What's up, Raloobs?" My tweet was something like, "I just imagined that I could hear dragons roaring while they were flying through the air."
We were providing sound effects at the studio. They're all watching the kitchen.
So yeah, it's made
a
by
shooter for Xbox Live Arcade.
Right. So I
agree with this comment from Aberex in the chat that the dragons looked really underwhelming.
Exactly. I can't say I was overly impressed. Right. I couldn't say I was overly impressed. I did play So this is a Psycholis Panzer Dragoon. I think that was the name of the game.
Dragon.
Yeah. So I believe I played that, but I can't remember what system it was out for. What system did that come out for?
Was it Dreamcast?
Dreamcast or PlayStation? Original
PlayStation 2.
PlayStation 2?
1. I'm not sure.
But anyway, I remember playing that game. It's pretty cool. Someone said Xbox.
Yeah, Xbox. Okay.
Alright.
Then below was the game from the creators of Super Brothers. It was the really boring trailer with lots of walking around slowly.
I wasn't impressed.
Yeah. Their game is like Super Brothers is a really hard game to show in a trailer as well. So I think it's been one of those that's be interesting to play if you're into those kind of games. But as a trailer, it didn't really stand too good.
Right.
Then we get to the heavy hitters. Halo.
So what you think about Chief and the like tarp / desert attire? I was just like, I was surprised it was him. Someone had a really funny tweet like, why does he have on a space suit with a mask in the desert, but then has his head covered with a hood and tarp? Like,
I really thought it was a.
I swear to someone said Jedi robe. Yeah. I thought it was Star Wars. I think everyone thought it was Star Wars, and then he takes off the hood, and it's like, Chief, what?
Yeah. And it was extra funny because the landscape looked like Destiny, the robe looked like Star Wars, and then later on,
I thought it was Transformers.
Does the reveal, and it looks identical except it's on snow planet with snow drifts instead of sand.
When the robot came up, I thought it was Transformers. So they had a little bit of everything in there.
I was really thinking it was Destiny at that point.
They had a little bit of everything in there. I was just like, what am I? Okay. Oh, Master Chief, it's Halo. That's exactly how my reaction was.
There really wasn't much to go on past that. It's just, hey, we're making a Halo game.
And there's big ass Promethean robots in there. Yeah. That's all I got.
I thought the interesting thing was that they just called it Halo, considering that Halo 4 was the restart of a trilogy, or the start of a new trilogy. So you would think they would kind of stick with the number convention.
Did they do that with launch of Halo 3? Yeah, they called it Halo 3.
Yeah, I don't think they've ever done a reboot.
So, I technically, this is my line of thinking was, I didn't think about Halo 3, but because it's a new system, they're like, this is the Halo for this system, so let's start at 1 here. But technically, right, it's Halo 5.
But like, I'm looking out on the Xbox website currently, and their trailer just says Halo on Xbox One.
Huh.
So, I don't know. They were kind of vague in that sense of what it actually is. It seems like the most reasonable thing would be that it would be the next Halo.
Right. One of the other games, I can't remember if it was before or after this. I think it was before. Project Spark?
Yeah. I thought it was really cool.
I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. Like, it wants to be Minecraft. It also wants to be Spore. It also wants to be something else. And I don't know.
See, I thought it was like Little Big Planet.
I got a little bit of Little Big Planet, but I got the Spore theme because you were turning a rock into a pet.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then I got Minecraft because basically you're just building stuff. So that's like, I don't know what I think of. The really big thing for
that will be what the limitations are. Because I mean, it's a game about making stuff, and then if you have too many limitations, then it's not really fun. You know, like
right.
It's really easy to show in a trailer or a small gameplay video, for example, because you can be like, all right, we're showing this. We're going to turn this rock into stuff. So what can we turn the rock into? And then they can just go and make 4 or 5 different things.
Right.
But in order to have it so that not only can rocks, but tables, chairs, books, you know, like being able to turn all that shit into different stuff, it's difficult. And then they kind of showed like a bunch of quick action shots of other types of examples of what you can do. And for that, it was pretty cool though, because it seemed like there was a good bit of variety similar to the Little Big Planet stuff.
Right. Which is, I think, and I saw some people tweet Little Big Planet when I was watching. So yeah, I definitely see the similarity there.
But you still have the thing like, they could have just developed around those 20 different types of games or mini games.
Right.
And then
Exactly.
shown that, and then really it's limited with what you can do in the archetype.
So I
it's
mean,
one of those things you won't really know until it's out, and then people are showing off cool shit all the time.
right. And I was gonna say it's one of those games where unless people are in it playing, you're not gonna really get the depth of something like that that's shown. So like, we have to wait till we see some YouTubers or some just really creative shit that's posted on Kotaku or something like that. That's like, oh, that's what this game can do. And that's kind of how I felt. Like, it wasn't one, like, it's cool that they showed it because they needed to mix in, like, this is for kids or this is for people that like to do this. The art style seemed really kiddie to me. So, you know, it's just a good variety, I think, that they wanted to show off there for the show. But I need to see more before I can make a declaration of what that's going to be.
Microsoft actually used to have a product called Kodu Game Lab, which was kind of the same principle in that you can make your own games. And it seems like it's kind of aimed at teaching children kind of programming and game development. But despite it being for children, it was actually really in-depth, and there's a lot of different stuff you could do, you know?
Right.
So I think that it's probably the next logical iteration for that. And it did say it's coming out for Windows 8, so I'm kind of curious if that'll also make it to Windows 7, and I might mess around with it there.
That is
I wouldn't want to mess around with a controller. I want to use
that
a
is
mouse.
true. Yeah, I definitely do not want to use a controller for that game at all.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty much everything that they've shown. I can't think of.
You're missing
Wait, we missing
one.
Witcher 3? No, I was going to say to the big ones.
Missing the big one. There's just one big one.
I know that one big one. I'm trying to think of whatever else. They have Witcher 3, which I think was on.
Exclusive.
It's not exclusive, but it was shown during Microsoft's, and then there was something else. The hell was that game? I can't remember what it was. But I haven't played any of the Witchers. I had to tweet about it. I have no comment on Witcher. I know a lot of people like that game. But I guess we'll probably get to that here when we talk about games. So the big one that Colin...
was D4.
D4.
Which was the murder mystery game from Slurry 65. Or Swervy, not Slurry.
Cyclist, Metal Gear Solid 5, which I think we're going to talk about that here at the end. But they did show that off right at the beginning of the whole thing. So, I mean, that was a pretty big game. Did they say whether or not that's going to come out at launch?
I don't think so. No, I don't think it is.
The only thing I liked about that, and, well, I mean, there was a lot of things that I liked, but the only thing that really stood out for me there that I thought I would do the whole game was ride on horseback and just stealth around on either side of the horse. That's the only thing I really got from that I was like, oh, I can't wait to do that. So the one that Colin wants us to leave as the granddaddy of them all is Titanfall. And this is one that has been on my radar since we mentioned it maybe 3-4 weeks ago, maybe 5 weeks ago, when we got some information that there was supposed to be mechs in Respawn's new game. And so, and at the time, I think you're breathing the mic.
Sorry.
You're cool. At the time, I believe it was just called Titan. I think that's what we had officially dubbed it, the name. And so we got the name for it when information leaked from Game Informer that showed the cover of it. It had Titanfall, and you could see the woman on there shooting a mech in the chest. And then we saw them unveil some gameplay. So first off, for anyone that doesn't know who Respawn is, I have to continually mention this whenever we talk about them. This is the studio, Respawn Entertainment, that originally created, this was the original group for basically Call of Duty. So I don't know how many guys from that studio, or guys and girls from that studio, are working for Respawn, but they took a nice little chunk when Activision and Infinity Ward then got into it about Modern Warfare 2 or whatever. So that's a pretty big deal.
When the news came out, it was like 15 to 20 people left with them.
I thought it was 30, so yeah. I thought it was upwards of 30. So I mean, that ballpark, I mean, that's a big chunk of your studio to make this game. They've been working on it since that departure, because they had been in talks with EA, and that's why they got in trouble. They've been in talks with EA while, I guess, in production for Modern Warfare 2, and this is what, 2000, 2010, 2000, no, 2009-ish. Sounds about right.
Like early 2010, I believe.
So it was around the time that Modern Warfare 2 came out. So whenever that came out, that's when all this stuff started up. And so they've been developing this game from then on to now. And what we saw at E3, I mean, I am really impressed. For anyone that saw me tweeting, there was a lot of things that I kind of looked at like, wait, this is Call of Duty. Wait, these guys made Call of Duty, which has like some really basic, like, let me hit behind cover, let me dive on the ground. Shooting mechanics are pretty simple. Now we got jetpacks, we got wall jumping and wall running, we got mechs that come in that can do all types of strafe moves and stuff, and it's like, whoa, this game looks like it has a bit of a quick twitch to it, and that skill factor was like, wait, it seems like they're trying to really ramp this up a little bit, and that's how I felt watching that trailer. So I don't know about you, Colin, but I'm really excited for this as a competitive title.
Yeah, the coolest thing to me was actually the pregame stuff, with all them sitting in the ship during the lobby. I do believe that was actually a lobby system while they were in the ship, where you'd be able to select your loadouts and stuff, but it's actually like a 3D environment. Right. And then the initial countdown went, and then the screen did like a quick flash thing, and then you're still in the same ship, but landing on the planet. And then it starts your 10-second match countdown, and it plays like the cinematic as she's pacing the ship, and they're like briefing you with a little bit of story background. Like that kind of stuff's really cool, and some of the games aren't really doing. Right. I can't think of any game that's done something like that. The closest one I can think of is Flashpoint. I believe it was Flashpoint, but you actually started off in a like transport vehicle with your team, and you kind of like drove to the first objective before everyone started to get out. So you kind of had time to strategize and talk and that kind of stuff. Okay. But other than that, like it's all completely new territory there. And I think that getting multiplayer into the narrative in a good way is pretty cool. So
I think the one thing I have that's a big question mark for me is this a multiplayer only game? That's what it kind of, that's the vibe I kind of got from them.
You call it the making of thing, right? Where they're kind of like talking to the different people from the studio and like how they're excited to work on it. Yeah. 3 different times they talked about making a multiplayer game. Like that was what they were saying, was the actual phrase multiplayer.
Multiplayer game, exactly.
So it sounds like it might end up just being multiplayer, which is fucking badass. Like it's about time that a AAA game can release with just multiplayer. Outside of Battlefield, obviously they've kind of done it, but then they started tacking on these crazy, over-the-top single-player the game because they feel like they needed it, you know? Right. So pretty crazy. I like it. So across the board, like I liked almost everything they showed. My only concern is the balance between mech and human.
So yeah, I had that in there. Titans versus infantry. What is the balance like? Like there were some really good firefights that they had that showcased what is possible if you're in a situation where you encounter a mech. But then when the dude got into a mech, again, I think there's this kind of set up, like he was just ripping through people. So it was like, seems like it's really weapon specific. Did you see the video clip of where, I can't remember if there was a mech in front of him, and he was out of his mech, he was on infantry on the ground, he like hopped on a wall, jumped off the wall, got onto the back of the mech, ripped open the top, shot it in the back of where the wiring was, and then took down the mech that way. Did you see that?
Yeah. There were a few different like grapples for the human to take down the mech.
So I think this is probably the biggest multiplayer game that I'm looking forward to outside of like maybe Battlefield 4. And then Star Wars Battlefront is kind of close up there, which we'll get to that here in a bit. But
that'll probably be a year or two though.
Right. So that's probably the one that I'm eyeballing the most. And I have heard that, I don't know who said this, but I believe I read it on YouTube. So I don't know the validity of this. So I haven't had anyone from seen anyone from Respawn say this. But right now it's on Xbox, coming out for Xbox 360, Xbox One, and PC. Now people were kind of in a tizzy on whether or not this was coming out for PlayStation 4. And from what I understand, what was said was we didn't have the resources at the time to put this out for the PS4. When we get resources, it will be out for the PS4. That's along the lines of what I understood them saying. So I don't know if this is a Xbox/PC exclusive or not, but it's certainly coming out for those systems first before PlayStation. So
yeah, it'll be a while at least where it's just on those. Even if it does come to PlayStation, it'll be a year maybe.
Yeah. So if anyone has not seen that or has just doesn't have this game on your radar right now, this is seriously a game that you need to look into, invest some time checking it out, because it has the potential to be a big one, I think.
You just know those guys were itching to do something fun and creative,
right?
After having to churn out Call of Duty.
Call of Duty over and over and over again. Like, you get burned out doing that. So
yeah, and they can't really deviate away from the formula because it would piss off the fans. The same stuff we've talked about before on the show pretty repeatedly.
Right.
Where with sequels, everyone wants it to just be more of the same over and over. So I imagine they were itching to be able to do a game with mechs and jetpacks and wall jumping.
I can't wait. My mantra for this game is to, and this sounds kind of bad, but I want to play people and I want to whoop their ass so bad that they're like, damn, this game is just too hard for me. What am I playing? Like, let me go back to Call of Duty, or let me go back to whatever game, because the wall jumping to me really separates people. Once you start getting up in the air, the verticality of trying to aim and track people really turns into a much higher levels of skill for a game than just having everything on a horizontal plane, very linear. It almost becomes a lot more tactical. So I like to see this type of stuff in games. So very interested.
There's lots of people in chat asking if it's 60 FPS. I would say it's really likely, considering that they did Call of Duty and they brought it up to 60 FPS.
Yeah, so I think that
Source Engine, I believe, is what they're using.
That is correct. I think that if anything, the only area where it might not be 60 FPS would be on Xbox 360.
Yep.
So, which would seem like they would probably limit the number of players that are playing, and you're basically going to get a shell of what the actual game is going to play like. Because it seemed like there was quite a number of players in the game. If you saw that, like at the beginning when all those people were rushing out, I don't know what the limit is going to be, but it seemed pretty big. And the map seemed kind of spatial. I mean, obviously because the mechs have to, you can't have like a little ass map with a mech running around. So
yeah, and there was actually 6 mechs on the map at one point. There was a nav thing above the score bar, which had how many mechs were active for each team.
Okay.
And I saw the max it got to was 6 during the gameplay.
So I'm hoping that it's 60 FPS. It'd be great. I don't know if I'm going to get it for Xbox One or PC, though. That's the thing. Haven't decided yet.
If I have it on Xbox, I'll probably get on there just because there's more players.
All right,
maybe.
So
I don't know.
Let's move on to Sony. All right, so everyone knows we started with Microsoft's launch price for the Xbox One. Sony's is going to be $399, $100 less. Very appealing to a lot of people, I think. And in terms of some of the things that I can't think of his name, but some of the things that he just punch after punch after
Jack
punch.
Tretton.
Yeah, okay, Jack. He blow for the used games, straight to Microsoft's mouth. Blow to the always online, straight to Microsoft's mouth. And then there
was almost a standing ovation at that point.
Right. Which
is just so surreal, considering that the used game policy is identical to what every single game since the beginning of console time has had.
It's really difficult for me to grasp why people would be. Maybe it's because I've been playing PC so long, but used games like disc-based media is going away. So at some point, like, you probably won't have a disc anymore. So at that point, you're either pirating or you're going to a store that's going to digitally download, like Steam, your game, and you won't have a used game price. It'll just be sale. So I don't know why there was a standing ovation for that. I don't. I mean, I get it. I really do. I get that it's like consumers want to save, but that model is going away. And every time I see people get upset about it, it just makes me mad. It's like, dude, it's like people that like music. I always compare it to music. Like in the 50s, people were calling Elvis's music the devil music and shit because people weren't used to hearing it. It was like, this is the music that people are going to be listening to in the future. So it's like, it's the same thing. It's like every single, in tech, music, whatever it is, it's like people don't want change, and then they get pissed off about it. So it's like, I don't know. You can't be mad about the tech stuff. Like, we're in tech. It moves forward all the time.
My big thing is that, like, with Steam, because the biggest direction I've seen is, like, Xbox is doing the same thing that Steam already is doing on PC. So the big thing there is that I can upgrade my PC, or buy a new PC, or go to someone else's PC. I can go to my work PC even, and download Steam and have access to all my games, and they'll still work. You know, like, no matter what, aside for, like, when a new OS comes out and we all upgrade, sometimes some of the stuff breaks, like, old Windows 95 games sometimes have trouble, obviously, playing nowadays. But for the most part, I can have those games all the way through. I can play them on any machine. I can upgrade my machine. I can change my machine. I'll still be able to play. And then you also have the fact that, well, let me finish that point. But Xbox, they're on their third console. None of them have backwards compatibility. So whenever the Xbox One is done, and I get my new Xbox, which could be a while. I think this console generation is going to last a long time, just because the graphics have gotten to a point where it's okay. But when it's time for a new Xbox, odds are that all that stuff's gonna be completely useless. I don't have a disc I can sell. I don't have anything where I can just play it on my new console. I have to keep the Xbox One around till the end of time, I guess. Similar to having VCRs or what have you.
Right.
So that's an issue for me. And then there's the fact that it requires 24-hour authentication. So I can't go off the grid and just have my Xbox with me for however long. All
right, so that's to me that's something different.
Again, Steam,
you can, but in terms of just pure sales, like people that are upset about this for, let me save $5 on this used game, let me save $10 on this used game, like that model is going away. The DRM, the having to connect in order to play and all that stuff, that's different to me. I'm purely talking from consumer monetary standpoint in terms of, all right, I want to be able to buy this used game, I want to be able to sell this used game, I want to be able to do whatever I want because I bought it, or you know, I didn't buy, whatever the case might be. Like, the model for that is going away. That is my point. You know, what you mentioned, I think the biggest thing for me is and how this affects me is, you know, if we're trying to go to a LAN tournament, what does that mean, having to have my Xbox connected 24 hours or once every 24 hours? What does that mean? You know what I mean? It's like, does that mean that there's going to be no LAN tournaments? Does that mean it's more difficult? Does that mean there's only online tournaments? Does it mean that
just trying to wrap my head around how Xbox tournaments will work? It's a headache.
I can't grasp that. So that regard, like, they have completely failed to me, saying that you need to have your Xbox connected once every 24 hours, or even having it always on. Like, that just makes no sense because of how it affects the tournament scene. And you would think that based on the rise of esports, maybe this was determined way before this, but like, you know, there's a ton of stuff where esports is on the up and up. I guess you could say StarCraft does it all online, right? You could argue that. Does League do it all online? I think you could argue that. So maybe my mindset of what LAN is supposed to be is going away for tournaments.
Both those games now have clients specifically for tournaments, which authenticate online, but they don't actually do the gameplay over it.
I don't know, but then you got things like what is someone mentioned in there? I see it now at the corner of my eye. But fighting game community, how does that work now? I mean, the logistics of this do not make sense for me to say, wait, I can't run a tournament unless my box is connected once every 24 hours. Hold on, guys. At the end of this night, we have to pack up all these Xboxes, take them back to the hotel or wherever we have internet, plug each of them up one at a time. I mean, we had to do some of this stuff at I think Hype for Gears. So it's like, I don't get this. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm completely baffled at that, trying to, like you said, wrap my head around how it will work.
I also don't generally trust Microsoft with the license for my games. Just as a general rule of thumb, like if my profile's gone, all my games are gone.
So that basically makes Sony the default LAN tournament console, in my opinion, at this point. Would you agree?
if the games support it, that's the big thing. Is Microsoft's gonna have dedicated servers.
We don't know anything about Sony.
They're not going to work well for tournaments, so any kind of cross-plat game might just axe System Link entirely because it's used by such a small portion of the community. Like,
Man.
that's an extra thing now, you know what I mean? Like, it was something where when games are in development, they usually get tested on System Link quite a bit, so they just kind of keep it in.
Right.
It was kind of the general explanation I've always heard, is that it's more work to take it out, really, than it is to just support it. But now you have dedicated servers instead of host client. That's a huge difference in networking stuff. I think 5 years from now, there's a very real possibility that System Link on consoles for both Xbox and PlayStation can be done for many titles, which sucks. I think the big thing is we'll just have to have internet connections at any kind of competitive
events. Whew. I can only imagine the build. Like, some of those events are... Like, if you try to get internet at PAX or in a hotel or at a LAN center or whatever, not a LAN center, an event center for LAN, it's like huge, astronomical prices for event organizers just to get internet.
Yeah.
I have no idea how that's going to work.
Online tournaments are now going to be a lot better, both in quality and stability with Eddies. At least
that
on
is
Xbox.
True. On Xbox.
We'll see what happens on PlayStation. It wouldn't surprise me if they matched that at some point.
Now, so PlayStation did talk about PlayStation Network. One of the things that you mentioned that kind of went over a lot of people's head because they were like jabbing and low blowing and doing everything to Microsoft, and
this was right after the
he slipped
ovation,
it. He slipped it in there and then went right on. He was like, basically, you need a PlayStation membership in order to play online. And we have these games, 140 libraries of games, and oh my god. And people kind of didn't catch that.
It was the very last point on the slide. And it was the longest point on the slide in terms of words. So it was like, by the time you got there, you're like, yeah, get them, Sony, yeah. Then you read down, and then like the very last thing on the list was, they worded it as, I think, immersive multiplayer experiences or something like that. So they just kind of slipped it in there. I thought it was pretty funny. And then really it wasn't until after they were done that people were kind of posting like, did they just say you have to pay for multiplayer now?
Yeah. And then the funniest thing was I saw you tweet that. I didn't even catch it. That's how slick it was.
As soon as it happened.
You tweeted it
online on PS4.
And then wait, it was like this. Like, my brain was processing like, oh yeah, used games, always online going away. I was thinking about that, and then I saw your tweet and I was like, wait, let me what did he just say again? Let me rewind that in my mind. And then I was just like, he had already moved on by the time I kind of caught up to what he was saying. It was really slick how he got that in there.
Really though, PlayStation Plus is way better value than Microsoft's Xbox Live.
For the price, $49.99 versus $70.
Not even that, but the stuff they offer. They've done tons of discounted games and free games for PlayStation.
True.
Instead, on Xbox, we have ads on our paid subscription service.
True.
And it's required to get Netflix. You have to have gold. So like stuff like that just adds up. From all I've heard on PlayStation, everyone's happy with PlayStation Plus.
Well, we're gonna see how people react, though. It doesn't bother us because we've already been paying. We've already been paying for a service where the price is going up and we're getting less. So.
And more ads every year.
And more ads. Let's change this interface and add this many more ads.
Yeah. Well, let's have an interface that has boxes so we can have half the boxes be filled with advertisements.
I don't know how Sony fans are going to react to this. I think you and I are really neutral because we're used to it. I could see this being major backlash for them, maybe as people start to be, oh, that's what they said? Wait, I have to pay for this? Now I don't get to play online anymore for free? Wait, I have to put my credit card information in here? What?
The big thing is that that's always been like a big punching point for Sony fanboys. Like, anytime I've talked about the Xbox and someone's been like a hardcore Sony fan,
yeah, they're like, ha ha ha,
you have to pay to play multiplayer.
Sucker!
Play multiplayer. So there's that. I really hope that the $5 ends up equating to dedicated servers. Like, that's what I hope it leads to in the end.
That would be nice. Definitely be nice.
I wouldn't mind paying for either service to have $5 a month go towards daddies.
The other thing, let's kind of, I mean, theirs is really short for us, I think. The other thing that I think we should mention in terms of features is their free-to-play model seems to be a lot more accessible to developers than Microsoft's.
Their indie model in general, like they were really big on the indie support during their presentation. I think they showed like 10 different games.
So not only do the developers so far in the press seem to be really supporting them, I mentioned Digital Extremes and Warframe in my overview that I did before the show, which was like on Sunday or something like that. They flat out had a quote in there that said that basically the reason that we are publishing this game on Sony's platform, free to play, and not Microsoft, is because Sony is welcoming us in, and we don't have to deal with publishers. We don't have to go to whoever, Activision or EA or 2K or Microsoft, and say, hey, we want to put this game out, and them saying, well, it doesn't quite meet up with our goals for what we have for our system here. You need to change this about the game and this about the game, and then you're okay. Oh, and we're going to take some money out of your pocket for publishing it. So that's the issue that devs kind of run into with publishers, and I think that Sony's like, hey, we want it all. If you got an awesome game, you want to self-publish, we want it on our system. And I think devs are like, yes, go Sony. So we're going to see Warframe, we're going to see Blacklight Retribution, and I can't really say I'm surprised about PlanetSide 2 considering it's published by Sony Online Entertainment, but PlanetSide 2 is also going to be there at launch. All of those titles are pretty big.
Like, that's a AAA title, really.
It is.
It's just in a free-to-play wrapper. Like, that's a game that, for example, you had MAG on PlayStation 3. PlanetSide 2 is way better than MAG in terms of scale and scope and graphics. Like, it takes MAG up to the next level.
It does. I completely agree. It is Battlefield free-to-play and futuristic. Yeah. That is essentially what PlanetSide 2 is, and it is awesome. Unfortunately, we're playing way too many games right now to be like, this is our game we're going to play.
The amount of time to unlock stuff definitely turned me off too.
Right.
That was the one thing.
But I'm excited to see.
The money on it.
I'm definitely excited to see what they released. Now, one thing that they said when they were up on screen during the press conference was the number of games that they were going to have, like 140 titles. Did you catch that? He said 140.
Yeah.
Was he talking about?
100, and they said like 100 exclusive something. And it's kind of like 100 will have some kind of exclusive aspects.
Did he say in the first year?
I think they said first year.
Which is that's a pretty big jump. I don't know how many games are going to come out, but that's
140 are in development.
In development. Okay. All right. Just making
100
sure.
100 playable within the first 12 months.
Okay. All right. So that was kind of murky to me. I wanted to make sure we cleared that up. Now, in terms of games, launch titles, we mentioned the free-to-play ones, but exclusive launch titles, do you have the list up?
Yep.
Look at those.
So launch titles for PlayStation exclusives. You have Knack. That was the game I don't really know much about. It was kind of a kids-looking game with the kind of robot that assembled itself.
Mm-hmm.
That was another. It looked really similar to the game they actually showed for 360. The Max and the Max Brotherhood.
Okay.
Yeah, it seemed kind of similar to that as far as the tone that I got from it. And then you have Drive Club, which they showed during their initial announcement. They didn't really touch on it here, right?
They showed a really brief trailer, like yeah.
Yeah.
I can't say it was anything that
so Drive Club is kind of like a social driving game.
I felt like they talked about it more in February than they did at during that press conference. But yeah.
Yeah. And Killzone, and that's actually it for the regular exclusives. Then you have the free-to-play stuff: DC Universe Online, PlanetSide, Warframe,
Blacklight.
And it's possible that Blacklight will be on there. It's not on this list as a launch title, though.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure
thought for sure that Blacklight could have been on there.
Though.
Yeah.
I imagine it's just up in the air, probably.
Okay.
So, Killzone, I've been less impressed every time I've seen it, to be honest.
I don't know what Killzone is trying to be. I think that's my issue with Killzone. Like, I don't know what type of game it wants to be. And so every gameplay that I see, the first one I was thoroughly unimpressed because of the guy that was playing. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember ripping on it quite a bit.
Oh man,
I remember
it was
specifically
painful.
he turned to shoot this guy, hit him like 2 times, missed the rest of his shots, and then just kept on going through this thing like nothing happened, and the bot didn't shoot at him or anything. It was just like, okay, we'll just let that one fly.
Yeah, so I don't know, I don't know about that game. I'm just unimpressed, I guess.
The stuff they showed at E3 was really uninspired. I felt it just seemed kind of like a generic shooter.
Drive
Definitely
Club.
not as mind-blowing as Killzone 2 was when they first showed.
When they first showed that, yeah, because the graphics look, you were like, oh my god, this looks incredible.
It was also pre-rendered and didn't actually look like that.
Exactly. They lied. They lied to
At
us.
least they showed gameplay. So yeah, that's it for the launch titles. And I think that's actually a really weak launch lineup if that's all they're going to have.
I mean, the best thing that they have is the free-to-play stuff. PlanetSide 2 is the system seller. PlanetSide 2 is the system seller here, so yeah. Both consoles are going to be pretty much like just nothingness in terms of launch titles out of the gate. I don't like either of the two's lineups.
I'd even say PlanetSide might be the best of those games graphically, depending on where their settings end up being. Like PlanetSide on max graphics on PC looks outstanding.
Better than Warframe?
Yeah, definitely. Warframe's lots of lens flare and high contrast.
I guess that's true. That's true.
PlanetSide has like some really beautiful landscape type stuff.
Yeah.
Obviously, Killzone will end up looking pretty good. Drive Club will probably look pretty good, but PlanetSide in terms of scale is probably the best. Like where you can show again the type of game you'd show to your buddies and be like, "Hey, check this out!" And you just like fly a plane above the terrain and show the crazy landscape.
And they're like, "How much did that cost?"
Giant battle. Yeah, they're like, "Oh, it's free."
And they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll get people every time. So I wouldn't be surprised if PlanetSide 2 sees a huge bump in terms of active players that are just playing in that universe when this console launches.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the non-exclusive stuff, which will be at launch, which will probably end up being better than most of these games, which we can get into here in a bit. As far as launch title goes, that's pretty weak.
That's pretty weak. I 100% agree. I think it's really weak. One feature that we kind of skipped over, and we talked about this for Microsoft, is that they have Ustream integration
for Sony.
For Sony, and I still do not. Gaikai is their cloud computing service that they're using.
It's like on live.
So is that going to be powering everything online? I'm confused as to what it's doing. Is it doing storage?
So, from what I understand, the streaming stuff will be going through Gaikai. I believe they're using their servers as a compression thing, so that'll be like their stream compression, and then also the upload to Ustream. Sorry.
Okay.
I think that's how it's supposed to be. I'm not really sure. They're kind of vague. Like, it's one of those services that does so much that you don't really know where they're involved. So, the big thing is they said that it won't come online until next year.
Next year.
Which makes me wonder if you can even stream or do DVR stuff before then. In which case, the Sony PlayStation 4 really looks like a shitty day one buy.
Right.
If you can't do the DVR stuff from day one.
So value-wise, that $399 price isn't quite as much there as Xbox One if Gaikai is going to directly affect some of these features coming online.
On day one.
On day one, yeah.
It'll come online eventually, but kind of shitty it's not online right from the get-go.
So let's hit some of the other titles. We have Kingdom Hearts 3. I thought
it's also coming to Xbox.
Is it? I didn't even hear that.
It wasn't announced. They just kept it on the hush hush. But Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15 are both coming to the Xbox.
Oh, Final Fantasy 15.
And those are probably the two games that got people most excited.
Yeah, like people were like, Twitter blew up when they showed Kingdom Hearts. It blew up, and everyone was like, "That's the reason I'm getting my PlayStation 4. Oh yeah, it's a system seller. I can't wait." And now that you told me that, I'm like, well, I guess that one is out the window. Final Fantasy. I mean, I didn't expect that to be an exclusive. So.
I feel like that franchise is just all over the place now. Like, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. Like, it seems like they're all over the place. They released 2 different versions of 13, right?
Yeah.
And they were completely different.
I have no idea.
And then you have 14, was the MMO they released. And they're like, oh, this is really shitty. So they dumped millions of dollars into it to re-release it as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn. And then they were making Final Fantasy 13 Versus, and they're like, let's just make that a Final Fantasy 15. Like, what are they doing? What is going on over at Square Enix?
Hey, those Goku teleporting...
And it's an action hack and slash game.
those teleporting action slices were awesome.
It seems like they have no idea what to do with that franchise.
They should just remake Final Fantasy VII and then just be done. And then start something new.
I'm sure it's on the way. I'm absolutely sure that's on the way. They're already up to, what, 5 on the mobile games? I think 5 or 6 just released.
Yeah.
On mobile. So I think that they'll get there. Final Fantasy XIV actually is coming to PlayStation 3. Or PlayStation 4, sorry.
Is it?
Yep. A Realm Reborn will be on PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, and PC.
Interesting.
Pretty cool. I might actually check that out.
Yes, considering you played...
We both played 11.
11? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We both played that. I played it more than you. You and Sean.
Yeah, I think I hit like level 30 or so. I liked it a lot. Just playing an MMO on a console always was kind of awkward then. And I had like one of those little mini keyboards.
Mini keyboard?
Oh, it was awful. You saw it. It's super small. It was fucking awful.
I have one somewhere.
So that was kind of interesting.
Diablo 3? Why you gotta laugh?
It's probably my most disappointing game from the past 2 years. Is Diablo 3. I was so hyped for that.
We all were. We were let down.
How much I played when that game came out? I was playing nonstop.
We were all let down.
The first week, I burned through the game, and then it's like, oh, this sucks. They made a shitty Diablo game.
We were, yeah. then Torchlight 2 came out, and that was the game that we should have been playing instead of Diablo 3.
Well, or Path of Exile. Path of Exile come out faster.
Yeah. So sad. Then there was a bunch of indie games. I don't even remember all the names of them. They showed like 8 at once.
Honestly, almost none of them were interesting.
There was one that looked like Contra.
Yep. Transistor's probably the one which has me most interested from the creators of Bastion.
Yeah.
Specifically because I saw some feedback. It was actually playable at one of the other conferences. It might have been last year, actually, at E3. And lots of people were hyping it up. So that's probably the only one which seemed interesting.
And then they showed... Did they show Watch Dogs there? Or did they show that... I'm trying to remember where it
was. Ubisoft, I believe.
Ubisoft? Okay. Because I remember I have seen that on there. So, that's pretty much it for what I have. Infamous Second Son?
Yeah, that's supposed to come out
Q1
next year, so it'll be pretty early.
Yeah.
I didn't like
more the same.
Played Infamous.
More the same. Yeah, I played through first one and I played through half of the second one. More the same. I can't say I'm too like pumped up for that at all. So
you prefer Prototype, right?
Yeah, I played through I played through 1 and 2.
They're almost identical.
All those games are about the same. And Crackdown, and now Saints Row 4. All of them are the same.
The one that did seem interesting was The Order, 1886.
Oh yeah, okay, we did forget about that one.
That's when they're inside the little.
It looked like a steampunk game. It did look very
it's supposed to be like Arthurian and an alternate history where there's like technology took a few leaps forward. It's kind of weird because they're like a horse-drawn chariot type deal.
But then there's a train above them.
And there's blimps and shit. Like there's like flying ships everywhere. And a train and guns and.
Someone said, "What about
zombie werewolves?"
Yobish on my deck. Yobish on my deck. Oh, I'm not gonna even. Yobish on my deck. What about Dying Light?
Dying Light.
I haven't seen anything on Dying Light. Someone asked me about that, and I don't remember seeing any footage on Dying Light.
Oh, is that Techlands? Yeah. It seems like it's just going to be another Dead Island, but with reskinned everything.
Okay. Okay, I remember that game now. Okay.
With that description, that was
yeah, that was enough. I remember that. No, I don't think that's something that I would be too interested in. And we mentioned all that. I think that's pretty much it. One game that we did not mention for Xbox 360. Sorry, I got to jump back on this. But because it's so blatantly, it's like glaring in my mind right now as a game that I just absolutely despise, hate, and just utterly disgusted with. World of Tanks.
World of Tanks for 360.
World
for 360.
of Tanks was shown, and the trailer that they showed off was this high octane, super intense action, so misleading fucking trailer.
We were all laughing because it was a trailer that was probably like a minute too long. Because all of the clips were just tanks crashing into each other and shooting.
Please, if you watch this show, it is free to play. I'm asking you not to download the game. I know it costs you no money. I'm asking you not to download this game. Please. It is boring. It is not. That trailer is misleading. They are lying to you. It is a boring ass fucking game. It's boring.
You know, I actually watched one of their tournament streams the other day. You want to guess how many viewers were in? No points if you saw it on my Twitter.
500.
Less. 260 people were watching. This is their official North American League they just started. I think it was like preseason, them like testing stuff, but 260 people.
America does not.
They're buying their way into esports.
They are blowing through money, and it is. You cannot have a boring ass esports game.
Just make it bank
It's
off the
unappealing.
Russians and European players.
Oh, all right. I'm done with that. I just want to mention to you guys. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh shit! I forgot to talk about how shitty that game is. It's terrible.
So I think that was all the PlayStation stuff, and then we can get into the cross-plat stuff. EA and BioWare both had their conferences between the two.
I'm gonna go just title this games E3. I should say games we're excited for, but we'll just call it games because there's a lot of games that we probably won't be able to hit in the next 20 minutes or so. So what is your, give me your top list right now, and I'll just basically be like, yep, that's on mine, that's on mine, that's on mine.
Here, I'll start on the ones we just went over. That way we can kind of get into the ones which we haven't discussed yet. Since I've already seen people like yelling at me in the chat to talk about stuff. Get there. So, of the ones from the conferences for Microsoft and Sony, the big ones for me are Rise, uninterested. Sunset Overdrive seemed cool. I'd probably put it like somewhere down in the middle of my list. Titanfall is probably what my top one. Might be my most anticipated.
1-2.
1-2 is we didn't talk about Destiny. Shit,
we didn't talk about Destiny. I didn't want to talk about Destiny in the Sony one because it's multi-plat.
Like stream.
I didn't want to count that because that is very misleading. They've blatantly stated that it's on all four.
Yeah.
So,
okay, so Titanfall, Destiny is my 1-2. Based on the E3 stuff, Titanfall is probably higher. I think the stuff they showed for Destiny wasn't a good sample of what the game's about.
I agree.
It's more about scale and playing with your friends and having tons of different encounters, and they didn't really cover that as much as they were kind of showing off the generic FPS aspect of it. So Titanfall and
number 1 for me, same.
Destiny 1-2.
Number 2, Destiny, same. Then 3-4 is another close one, so I'm gonna see what you're gonna say right here.
3-4, shit. They didn't really show enough of Halo for me to get interested. It was just a trailer.
Yeah, I'm not. No.
Project Spark was probably actually up there. I put it maybe 4. Just because it's different.
Okay.
And then my number 3 is The Division.
Okay, I did like that game.
Oh, and I left out Star Wars Battlefront because they
Thank you.
They didn't show shit.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Listen to me, guys.
They didn't show shit.
Do you guys remember this show we talked
You
about?
know how excited I am. We
This
talked
is
about it.
this is like 4 weeks ago, I think.
Pushing.
Force pushing buildings. Oh my god.
Like, I already talked about how excited I am. You know I'm excited about it.
Listen,
but
guys.
They didn't show shit. They said something that I was already 100% sold on before the conference even started.
Guys, listen.
If you go back to that episode, I was like, Battlefront is going to be done by DICE. It's going to be fucking awesome. Like, I said that. It was already known. It was known from the moment that they said that they had the license. Like,
we
gonna DICE make a Battlefront game.
We called it. We called it how it was. We called it.
The one thing that's
how can that not be in your top 3 though? How can it not be top 3?
It's not DICE in Sweden that's making the game.
I don't care. How can it not be?
It's the Medal of Honor DICE that made that awful Medal of Honor experience.
Is it them?
Yes, it's them. Go ahead and lower your expectations a bit. Just
okay. Shit.
And then you're like, oh shit, it's Battlefront. And you go,
yeah. Shit.
So yeah, it's not DICE in Sweden. It's DICE in shit. What's their other studio? I have to look it up. They have 2 different studios.
Stockholm, Sweden.
Damn it! I should have had this ready. It's Danger Close, I believe. Is that right? It's DICE LA.
DICE LA.
Yeah.
Okay.
The old studio name was Danger Close. They did Medal of Honor.
Damn it.
And Command and Conquer, I think, was the other.
Why did you have to tell me that, man?
Yep. See, you were so hyped, and I told you I was happy. Like, they can't really get it wrong, as far as I'm concerned.
No,
like,
they didn't get it wrong.
Well, actually, that's a good point. Medal of Honor just had awful
Medal
mechanics.
of Honor was
everything just played awfully.
Medal of Honor was bad, disgustingly bad.
Like, it was really. I remember everything was sluggish. The weapons weren't responsive.
It was disgustingly bad.
Damage values were all over the place.
I feel bad for the people that got sucked into buying Medal of Honor because they watched that trailer that was like them trying to show how cool it was, and they showed off some pretty graphics, and then people were like, oh my god, this looks great. Like, they get people all the time with that tactical war veteran bullshit. The game was fucking terrible.
Literally, all they have to do though is just copy and paste the code from Battlefront 2 into the Frostbite.
Well, here's the thing. No, listen.
It just magically comes out, and it's like, oh shit, this is awesome.
Colin, they had Frostbite on Medal of Honor. You couldn't destroy a box.
Yeah, I remember that. You couldn't destroy shit. All you could destroy was like the edges of walls, like around door frames.
You couldn't destroy a box.
Oh man.
Oh
so
no.
Yeah, expectations just taken down a notch, just like that.
Battlefront is now on number 10.
That is why Battlefront for me maybe is number 5, just because I haven't seen anything yet. They have to show me first.
I'm like on 7. Hold on one second. I got Christy. I'm getting close. Yeah, so
they gotta show me. So what's your top 5 then? What's the Division? You watched it?
I'm depressed. I'm depressed now, man. I don't even want. I'm canceling the show. We're stopping right now.
You were so amped to talk about Battlefront. That said, I did do a fist pump when they showed the trailer.
Listen, guys.
Stood up out of
like,
my seat while I was.
You guys don't like. I was so happy about being able to force push and destroy something and watch it shatter into pieces. But Medal of Honor was using Frostbite, and it didn't even have destructible boxes. You couldn't destroy a crate in the game. Like, I have no faith now. You've totally ruined my night now. Oh man. All right, so my top 5. Ugh. All right, so I got Titanfall number 1, Destiny number 2. Those two could be interchangeable. Number 3 was Battlefront. I'm going to go ahead and say Battlefield 4 is my number 3. Number 4 would probably be The Division, which you mentioned. When I literally saw Division about half an hour before the show started, and Colin showed me that.
I'm really amped on the aspect of the social aspect of the sense that you could. I imagine that alliances will form and you'll have like groups of people, but it's essentially open PvP, you know?
Right.
So it can be pretty cool, depending on how they do the drop in, drop out, and the server shards and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen that trailer, you might want to link that in chat because that was an awesome trailer to watch.
It's definitely different, you know, like the idea of being able to have your squad drop into a giant multiplayer world that also has single player objectives.
Yeah.
And going out on like raiding parties to get supplies and shit.
So,
cool.
Real quick, since Battlefront is completely ruined for me, and I talked about, I still have my 5, but I want to go back to Battlefield 4. The 64-player multiplayer thing where they showed the fucking skyscraper falling. Oh my god. How many of you guys were like, like that was my exact expression when I saw a skyscraper falling from the sky. That was awesome. So I'm really pumped for that. The other thing that they showed was the tank was driving on the street. They shot out the pillar support beam that was that it was driving along, and then the tank fell underneath and got stuck. Woo!
Yeah,
Colin.
Colin.
Oh my god. I'm pretty hyped for that game.
Everyone went nuts.
Battlefield is my other than Gears, Battlefield has probably been my biggest passion in terms of games that I've been most interested in playing. Unfortunately, a lot of guys don't know that. Like, we played in tournaments, we competed a lot in this game, so Battlefield is like bread and butter for me. I love that game.
I have liked it less and less as it's gotten more and more realistic, though.
Really?
That's kind of been my issue.
I don't know, man. Battlefield 3 is really good. We just hopped on it, I think, a little too late. It's really good.
Yeah,
I could see you saying that about Bad Company. Like, those ones, Bad Company, the first Bad Company was okay. Bad Company 2 was better.
Some of the
Battlefield
guns,
3
the guns weren't satisfying to me. Partially because in Bad Company I had a really OP M60 which I used, and then they fixed it. Oh yeah, that's a good point. Someone in chat typed all cap Tony goal. Spectator.
Yeah, they have spectator mode as well.
Spectator mode coming into Valve's time since Battlefield 2, I think.
Bigness, I played BF3 on PC and Xbox. I have it on PC actually right now. That's what I've been playing it on and off since I stopped playing on Xbox.
Yeah, spectator mode, pretty big.
The other things that we got
Maybe
here.
that means the $1.6 million tournament will actually happen.
Will actually happen? Maybe. EA had man, she's right by the door right now. You guys can probably hear. Battlefield, or I'm sorry, EA also had Mirror's Edge, which was pretty big. I think it got well received. It was for those of you guys that played the first one, it was one of those ones that didn't sell well, but the gameplay was there. Like, you saw something special with it, so it kind of got like a cult following. I expect this to be a pretty big game for next gen, but I don't know to what extent. You know what I mean? Like, is it going to release when Titanfall is going to release? Is it going to release when like some of these other major ones come out? That's the issue that I think it had when it first released, and I think that's what's going to happen with this. Is if they put it in a bad time slot, this won't be something that pushes units. It'll just be like just another game. Yeah. Let's see here. We got. That's not on my top 5. My 5th game. Let me look through this list real quick.
While you're doing that, I forgot we didn't mention Assassin's Creed freezing on stage for during the.
I didn't even think it was. I thought it was laughable. I didn't think it was even worth mentioning.
Like, it froze on stage during PlayStation's thing.
I'd say from the games that we saw, probably Sunset Overdrive was my 5th.
Okay.
And after that, everything is kind of muddled, murky. There's a couple games that I've tried to watch day one on Twitch of different games. Thief looked moderately interesting.
I was really excited for Thief up until a couple articles that come out recently saying that they've had a pretty troubled development.
Yeah, that's and some
kind of conflicts. I think they've had like 4 different project leads.
Yeah, exactly. I heard that the game got dropped and then picked back up and dropped and picked back up a couple times. So
yeah.
So
Murder. I'm kind of worried they'll lose the cool stealth elements that made Thief fun.
I saw Murder Soul Suspect, which was like the way it was described was Die Hard with John McClane, but John McClane dies and you continue in the afterlife. So you're like a ghost walking around. That's essentially what that was described as. Yeah, so it's puzzle solving, basically murder mystery. What was the name of that game that came out that had the really good facial expressions? 1950s, 40s ish, and you play a police officer. I can't think of the name of that game.
Rockstar's game.
Rockstar's LA Noire. So that's that's the vibe I got from that. LA Noire, from Murder Soul Suspect. Looked really interesting. Not sure how it's gonna turn out. I saw a couple Xbox Live Arcade games that were kind of uninspiring. I saw XCOM Declassified. That could be a big one, maybe. Elder Scrolls Online. Did you see that?
Yeah,
Aren't you an Elder Scrolls fan?
reluctantly looking forward to it. I don't. From what I saw, it just looked like a generic MMO from what they've shown so far.
So what they've said, I watched the interview. They did an interview with Machinima. They had portion of it. They said they want to retain the Elder Scrolls single player experience, so you can hop in and play, just like you would a normal Elder Scrolls with the single player element. But they also tack on the MMO aspect of it. So
Not gonna be as much depth.
Yeah, it might be a little watered down. But nevertheless, I mean, it's still an Elder Scrolls game. So
I'll give it a try for sure. We didn't touch on any of Nintendo stuff today, actually.
Mega Man, it was the only thing that I freaking cared about there. That was just me.
They didn't show anything from Mega Man, right?
Mega
Man is going to be in
Smash. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. Mega Man and Smash is probably the only thing that I was remotely interested in.
It's just the slew of stuff you'd expect with the new console. So it's like Mario Kart, Mario World.
They said it's Mario Kart 8. Have there been 8 Mario Karts?
It's been more than that. They've done so many different spin-offs with like the handhelds and stuff.
I never even knew there were that many Mario Karts. Like, they need not put a number in front of that. Please. I love Mario Kart to death. I actually wish there was a...
They're actually not putting a number. It's Mario Kart Wii U is what they're calling it.
Yes, thank you. I wish that they would license out their IP so that we could have Mario Kart on all the systems, because this is a game that does not need to be on Nintendo at this point. I feel like I understand that it's like a system seller for them, but Nintendo's out of the game. Like, go the way of Sega. I license the hell out all of your IPs. You sell like hotcakes. You make way more money that you're making now making systems, because they rely on gimmicky stuff that is kind of, it started with the Wii, and I think people kind of realized, oh, I got fucked on the Wii. Now it's sitting on the shelf collecting dust. And they're just trying to continue that, let's sell this gimmicky shit to you. And it's just not good. And the developers don't want to work with it, because they're like, how are you practically going to use this as a gamer? It makes no sense. That's my stance on Nintendo. So I feel like they should honestly give Zelda away, give Mario away, make all your money, because people will buy it like hotcakes, because all the gamers that you want are playing other systems. They're not playing your shit. That's flat out how I feel about Nintendo, and I'm uninterested in their games unless they put them on new systems. This console
is really the breaking point in a lot of ways, where they might just realize, oh shit, we went the wrong way.
Right.
After Wii Fit didn't sell enough, or didn't sustain, in any way.
Jim and I hear you saying it works for kids. I've had kids that sit down, and we've worked at LAN centers. You put a kid in front of a Nintendo Wii, and they play that for 5 minutes. You give them an Xbox 360, they're on that thing for 6 hours. Yep. I've seen it firsthand. I've worked long enough in that industry where you directly see kids that are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. They sit down for 5 minutes and they're bored with it, and they move on to something that is more fun. The novelty of it is what sold, but once you sit down, there's no depth.
They sell it with that notion. So the parents buy it with that notion that it's for kids. But really the kids will be playing what the older kids are playing, which is Xboxes and PlayStation.
Right.
That's what it ends up being in the end. But yeah, working at the LAN center, we saw all the time that the Wii didn't work well with kids at all.
It's just not something that people want to play. And I think that until they get that in their minds, like this novelty stuff, it's not what is selling. Then I don't think that the Nintendo will be a contender ever again for in terms of consoles. Handhelds, they got it on lock.
Yeah.
They got that on lock. Just hands down, like there's just not even anyone close when it comes to handhelds. But unless you want to consider like an iPhone, you know, the handheld market as well. So I mean,
Monster Hunter on the PSP is giving them an edge in Sony, or in Japan rather. Just saying. One game they showed for the Wii U, which I was actually like, oh shit, that's really cool. I'm never going to ever play it because I'm not going to own a Wii U. But did you see a trailer for X?
No.
It's a kind of Xenoblade inspiration. So it's giant robots, but then there's fucking dinosaurs and shit. Seriously, like, if you guys haven't watched it, watch the trailer for X. I'll post it in chat. It looks fucking sick.
Dinosaurs and giant robots? That's okay. Wasn't that in a fighting game?
So what's this good info?
Wasn't that in a fighting game where you fought like Godzilla and it was like a giant robot? Monsters versus something?
You might be thinking of Mecha Godzilla, who's Godzilla does it.
Okay. So other than that, I think that's pretty much.
Look at that trailer. I'm serious. Like, that trailer.
I want to see this trailer. What is this? If I pop it up, everyone else is gonna see it. Why don't we? We can go into YouTube on here.
Of course, they have like the Japanese music playing in the background.
What is the name of? Wait, paste URL.
Let's watch together.
Let's watch it together.
That's right. This is the one game we're gonna show you footage of on the show.
I actually have Titanfall, but
no, this is it right here. I'm serious though. It looks really fucking cool. But again, I'm never going to play it just because I don't have a Wii U. You just gonna pull it over my screen?
What? Both of us are gone. No. This is like typical Japanese.
Yeah, exactly. It's a very Japanese trailer in general. And everyone walking in slow motion. Look at that, fucking dinosaurs and shit. Spaceships. Giant Final Fantasy swords, as what Asher said. You got robots turning into cars.
Yes. I was listening to a trailer.
How can you look at that and tell me it doesn't look sick?
Yeah.
Looks nasty.
Okay.
It's a system seller.
Yeah.
That and then similar on the anime RPG side, there was Tales of Xillia, which is part of the Tales series. It's PlayStation only. It's actually for the PlayStation 3, but their trailer looked really nice.
Oh man, dude, that was classic Japanese trailer right there.
Yeah.
To a
That was
T.
up there with the Metal Gear Solid trailer in terms of how Japanese it was.
Yeah. With the Vengeance.
The person-to-person, the Metal Gear Solid trailer.
Metal Gear Solid Vengeance, Revengeance. That trailer. That's exactly what that reminded me of. I can't even remember
this one.
that.
It was like the Star-Crossed Man. You know, like
Yeah.
subtitles for each of the characters.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So other than that, I mean, I don't think there's really too many other games that we are excited for. There's a lot of other stuff that we haven't mentioned, which I'll just run through real quick before we wrap up the show.
Total War 2.
Yeah.
That's on my list.
Plants vs. Zombies, Garden Warfare. They showed it. It was interesting, I guess. All the EA titles. They had Drake come out on stage. for FIFA.
Yeah. And then they had
then Dana White came. Did you see Dana White had oh, did you hear him say something like, "We've been fighting. This is what people want to see. They want to see the fight." I was like, "Oh, did you really say that?"
Still was as bad as the dude trash talking during the Killer Instinct match.
So, let me see. I'm trying to look and see if we missed anything else that I have on this list.
Way overhyped.
That was for UFC, which might be a pretty good game. We mentioned that. Got Watch Dogs.
That's been another one that's on my list.
We got Madden 25, FIFA, NBA Live, UFC. That was all EA.
Last of Us. I don't think they showed that at any of the conferences though, did they?
No. The Evil Within.
Oh, Mad Max.
Oh. I called it before. Well, I saw the car and I was like, "Is that Mad Max?"
Yeah. It was very, like, they nailed the art style right away.
Yeah. So you kind of knew. That's pretty much it. I mean, we'll see some more games, obviously, throughout the week. We really just want... Someone says in there The Witcher 3. I kind of mentioned that, but I haven't played The Witcher, so I don't know what expectations I should have for Witcher 3. Seems like a lot of people are excited about it.
Same for me.
Same for Dragon Age. What is the Dragon Age Inquisition?
Yes.
And they said it would be ready 2014, fall 2014, I believe.
Yeah, it's current gen only, I believe.
Really?
Yep.
Okay. I guess we could kind of finish up with some quick questions, and then we'll wrap up the show. Went pretty long. Next week we'll have some more talk about games and some other stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure there's much more news coming out this week.
We might even have. I think the title update for Gears Judgment is right around the corner, so it's supposed to be. I think it's supposed to be this month, or maybe next month. I don't know. Early next month. I'm not sure.
Maybe I'll pop the disc in again.
We'll see.
It's currently a webcam stand.
Who won E3? Oh, well, you know what? That was supposed to be our finale. I'm gonna go ahead and say Microsoft won, Sony won in terms of PR business side. I think Xbox has slightly more appealing games, but not by much.
I got a curveball answer.
Go ahead.
The winner of E3 was the PC. The architecture of the consoles is very similar. They're using 64-bit x86 architecture. And if you look down the list, most of these games are coming out on PC as well as console. Titanfall is a good example of that. But let me actually get the super.
The only one that's unconfirmed that I've seen is Destiny, which is arguably the one that should be on PC more than anything else. And they're just like, hey, we're developing for all of these consoles, and we can't get to PC.
I mean, like, we listed the exclusives earlier when we were talking, and really the only big ones that come on our list that aren't in there are there's nothing on PlayStation's end. There is, so I guess Metal Gear Solid, Destiny again is the big one, and The Division hasn't been confirmed for PC yet. Then obviously on Xbox you have Halo, won't be, and you have.
Hey now, Halo might be on PC. Halo might be on PC based off of some of the leaked information that has been going around the rumor mill about them making a very specific online free-to-play game, Halo, for the Asian market.
Yeah.
So
you got, then you have Titanfall, PC. We have the Division. There's a pretty good chance it's going to be on PC. Ubisoft has almost always released stuff for the PC as well. Then we had Destiny. Obviously, that's kind of up in the air. They said that they might support PC. It sounded like that's kind of like one of their stretch goals, is to get it on PC. What else is in your top list, I had Project Spark was in there. Project Spark's going to be on Windows 8.
Battlefield 4,
Battlefield
which
4
we already
on
know.
all consoles.
Sunset Overdrive is one that I think I put that at 5. I don't know if that's going to be on PC.
It's Xbox only.
Okay, so
there's one.
There's
then
one.
You have PlanetSide, something we hyped up a bunch, that's already on PC. Almost all the free-to-play stuff's already on PC. And then you have all the cross-plat stuff, which is going to be on all consoles and PC. So
right.
In the end, coming out of this conference, almost everything's on the PC. It's just a matter of actually owning a good enough PC to play these games.
To play the games, right.
Which has always been the big issue. But in the end of the day, PC actually comes out with a lot of stuff. The architecture is going to result in better ports and probably better optimization for PCs as they're getting it all tuned in to work on the consoles. And it'll probably get to a point where if you have a PC that's similar in power to the current gen consoles, you'll be good to go for a long time.
Right.
Just because the connections are very parallel, you know?
Right. I'd agree with that. I could say PC would come out on top in terms of being a pure gamer from that standpoint. But again, you have to already have it built in order to maximize the potential for some of the games that are going to be coming out. To kind of elaborate on why I feel like Sony won, mostly it's because Microsoft mismanaged their marketing PR with the whole use games, always online, and I mean, Sony they went after that. And then the price point is another thing I think kind of bothers people as well, for $500. And at which point I think this kind of hits on your point. I see someone, right as I'm about to go into it, you can almost get a really good PC that'll play most games at about $500. You know, you throw in another $100 there and you got yourself a pretty solid PC. So I mean,
it's something that you can slowly upgrade from there. Like,
right. So in terms of value, maybe Microsoft has more value in their product for $499 at launch. But in terms of who won the event from a pure like press marketing standpoint, I think it goes to Sony hands down. And I think that the price point for them at come holiday season is going to be a major factor in who buys what. If you guys remember, Sony launched, like, this is like reverse. 2005, Microsoft came out with a $399 and I think $299 model. Now we're fast forwarding, you know, and Sony at that time came out with a $500 and $600 price tag for their system.
Yeah.
And now we're looking at the tides have turned, and you're going to say Microsoft is going to be like, oh, we didn't learn from that. We're not gonna have a $500 price product. And Sony definitely, they wised up. They're like, okay, we'll just take the hit because eventually we're going to make money. I don't see them losing too much money on this console right now. But
as a holiday purchase, seeing the $100 difference is going to be pretty huge.
Going to be huge, huge, huge.
As well as the confusion when there's 4 different SKUs of Xbox up on the wall.
So
one of them is named the Xbox One.
It's like, I think Microsoft really mismanaged how this whole thing has kind of gone down. This all started after their damn press conference, 3 weeks ago, at the end of May. So it's in Sony's court at this point. I mean, they need a couple things. The controller is terrible. Can't get past that. The controller is terrible. Will be terrible for 90% of their games. In terms of shooters, and I've never been a fan of it, but other than that, I think Sony won. So I'm looking for questions right now. Wasn't the PS3 supposed to last 10 years? What happened to that? The PlayStation could go another. Would it be 3 years?
Realistically, they'll still be making games for another year or two. At least.
It could still go a little bit further. At zero.
PlayStation 2 lasted a good 12 years? It was a while.
12? No, dude.
Before they finally retired
before they finally retired it? Yeah, it went pretty
they
long.
used that as the actual lifespan. It lasted from 2000 to 2012.
How can PS4 not have the DRM? Xbox One has DRM. Isn't that a big discrepancy? Will third support for PS4 be hurtful, or will Microsoft?
The official line from Sony is that publishers will determine if there's DRM for their games.
Right. Whereas it's supposed to be baked in for Microsoft and Xbox.
Yep.
So if you're pissed off that Sony does it, which I see EA doing it, then I mean, you got to be mad at EA.
According to the rumor mill, Activision was the only one that was really against Sony's or Microsoft stuff.
Okay.
So that's just rumor.
Biggest reason not to own the controller. That is very true. Do you think the PS4 price was planned?
There were some jokes that because they started 15 minutes earlier, they were too busy polishing up their slides to change the price.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that was planned. I don't think you make business decisions like that.
On a whim.
They might have had a contingency plan if they released at certain prices, but I think it was probably planned.
Yeah, so. Alright. I'm pretty much sure we covered just about everything for this show. For this day. There will be more videos on YouTube. I'll be doing a lot of coverage. I actually have a video lined up for Titanfall, talking about that some more. Maybe Colin and I can do some dual comms. Sound up for that. On some of the games for E3. We can talk about some of that for you guys. Other than that, if you guys just tuned in for the show first time, make sure to follow the channel. We do this every Tuesday from 8 p.m. Central Standard Time to 9 p.m. We got a little bit over for this one because it's E3. So hope you guys enjoyed it, and we will catch you guys next time.
Yeah, thanks, guys.